what's it called?
Electric Spring.
No, not this. when you screw up.
We'll talk about that.
It's dark down here. It's quite poor. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Ian J. Cole.
Hi, I'm Jane.
And this is the second video in a series that we're doing on the Electric Spring Festival in Huddersfield. If you want to see any of the other videos, they're all linked down below. And this is the second installation that we went to, which is...
Island Recollections.
Thank you, Jane. It's called Island Recollections. Do you want to say a little, do you want to read a little bit of...
Yeah, so the artist is Jackson Mouldycliff. It's based around the years 2006 to 19. And this is part of what he's written. Over the years, we've accumulated an eclectic collection of found treasures, flotsam and jetsam, maps, photographs and sound recordings, which when assembled together provide a composite snapshot of our time exploring the West White coastline. And this refers to family holidays. So he was first, it was first in 2006. And it's a collection of 4 boxes. Yes, and
the boxes are numbered. And actually, we got talking to Jackson, who was there, because when we first walked in, there wasn't anything to read about the background to the actual piece, which... When we were talking to Jackson, he'd said that actually there was meant to be some handouts which literally hadn't turned up, or they hadn't, they hadn't arrived. But actually, we managed to grab hold of one of these later on, and I think Jackson grabbed one of these and actually was going to get them to actually have some of those actually down in the installation. So at first, my impression was that I'm not really sure what all this is about, but once we got talking to Jackson and he explained what Jane's just eloquently said in there, it all seemed to make sense to me. What was your thoughts on it?
I really liked it, and like Ian said, it was difficult to know the context of it until we realised that he was the artist, and so we overheard his previous conversation with a couple, and then we asked him, if he was,
because the poor chap was having to do that to everybody,
and he explained about the missing paper, etc., etc. Anyway, and it was really interesting because I'd made, like for instance, I'd made an assumption because each of the pieces includes a map of the Isle of Wight, and I assumed that they came from either they lived on the Isle of Wight or they lived in Southampton or Portsmouth or something like that. But actually, no. That's just where they used to go for their family holidays. So each of the cabinets and the numbers were just fairly random because apparently there had been 6.
That was it, yes, and 6.
It's just that they were left over from a previous project and they'd just been reused. But they were absolutely jam-packed full of maps, photographs, and as he said, sort of flotsam and jetsam bits of, things that you would expect to find on the seashore, and old bits of rope, bits of metal, but they were just really interesting. There was actually a little it was a Lego figure, wasn't on top of one of them, and it just made you think.
There was a penguin on one of them, I think, as well.
A lot of them related. In fact, one did have sort of a collection of family photographs with the years attached, because he was, I don't know, he didn't tell us how old he was in 2006, but obviously he was a boy. And so it was quite interesting to see. And then there was another one sort of near the top, which I think was 2019, and that was him and his brother, and obviously they were adults. But it was just, and the sounds, it was seashore, there were sounds
one
of
the boxes
sea.
was more industrial,
Yes.
so he'd obviously done some field recordings to get those sounds and make them into.
But that
into
related
pieces.
to the fact that there used to be quite a wide network of trains on the Isle of Wight. Now there's sort of basically one, and it's a sort of sightseeing thing.
I mean, the project was originally started by his father, who was there, and we got to meet Phil, lovely chap. In fact, he gave us some of his CDs, and I'm going to email him. I'm going to email him and get his address and send him some of our stuff. And we had a really good conversation with the three of us, the four of us at the end. But Phil had started it, and it got abandoned for some reason, and then Jackson picked it up.
And in fact, I'm going to just read you a little bit more, because it says here that this is the first in a series of projects exploring the notion of stratigraphy. Stratigraphy. I'll have to practice that, as methodology for creating open form intermediate installations that deal with an artistic reinterpretation of the relationship between spaces and memory, utilising layering, grouping and juxtaposition, which is that's what all the cabinets, they were sort of filled front and back, and each piece had on the top one of those small little, what do they call them, speakers.
Oh yes,
so,
like a little Bluetooth speaker.
That's right. Yeah, it doesn't interfere. The fact that each of the cabinets is fairly close together, when you're concentrating on each cabinet individually, you're really only aware of the music, the sound that's associated with that cabinet. And visually it's great because there's so much to look at, and it really made it, being able to chat to Jackson
it was lovely,
find out,
yeah.
because we obviously found out a lot more. I mean, yes, the relevant bits are there, but and obviously it was a shame that we didn't have that, but equally it was better because we had him.
Yeah, we had him,
and he explained
Yeah.
exactly what it was. But again, really interesting. It gave you memories. I mean, obviously this was based on a lot of his family memories, and that in turn makes you think about family holidays. And so there was a lot to think about.
It was.
And,
It was
visually
an excellent piece.
it was great.
Yeah.
This whole project spans from 2006 to 2019. Obviously in 2006 I was quite a lot younger than I am now.
Yeah.
So a lot of the material was gathered by my dad and sort of kept and stored. He's also an artist, and he had sort of started making things and then left this project half finished. And so then about 5 years ago I started picking up an interest because of my sort of background in music, and started to finish these boxes and sort of create these images, and that's sort of what's led to them being the way they are. The numbers are just a relic from what they used to be, which was just sort of a much more empty box that was never finished.
Yeah.
There were about 6 of them. As you'll notice, it goes 1, 2, 4 and 5. I'd like to say that there's some sort of interesting arty reason for why 3's not there, but it's just because 3 didn't look as nice.
That's a good enough reason.
And so adds a little bit of intrigue. Really.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So if you've created that, you've obviously done the sound, and you've put together with the object.
Yeah, the sound. Half of the sound is sound that I have recorded over the last 5 years, and then the other half is recordings that were made by my dad and by my mum and my brother as well. And then I've sort of manipulated them and put them into the sort of order that they're in. Each box has a different sort of loose thematic sort of thing, and so each of those sounds sort of represent a different type of like material, like a sort of found object kind of thing, but it's like a found sound. So for example, this one here is machines and sort of mechanical objects. There's interesting history with the Isle of Wight. It used to have a sort of quite a large railway network, which has since been like massively reduced. It's now just sort of like a tourist thing. It's like a single line, people go on it, and there's like a museum. but it used to like span across the island when there was like steam engines and things. So there's lots of like museums and sort of various things that have interesting sounds playing of sort of relics of what it used to be. That's sort of a theme across the Audiophile really, because it's sort of got the fossils and the dinosaurs. It's always sort of looking back, which is you know, a loose theme of this project.
And do you come from the Isle of Wight?
No, I don't. This is just
right.
The Isle
I
of
just
Wight.
assumed you did.
No, the Isle of Wight is just we've been going on holiday there for it's 2006 now, 14 years. In fact, even earlier, but 2006 is when we sort of really started to like get into it. And so it's sort of like it represents my sort of like growing up.
Yeah.
It's like all my holidays were there, and you know, that's where I spent a lot of time with my brother and that sort of thing.
festival is currently going on now, and it's on from the 19th to the 23rd of February 2020. I'm sure that Jackson will probably be, hopefully, exhibiting it again sometime in the future, but I'll put some links down below to his and his father's website and the links for the Electric Spring Festival. Okay, thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.